Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. We're taking a closer look at Nano. And this is exciting because with all the selling off from Bitcoin recently, Nano seems to be the only one in the market outperforming other coins. So I'm excited to check that out. Thank you to my community for referencing this or asking me to go ahead and cover it. I do appreciate you bringing this to my attention. Furthermore, I'm not a financial advisor. This is always for educational purposes only. You do your own research. There's also $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager in the link in the description below, as well as my Patreon account if you'd like to show support, and of course a link to my Telegram if you'd like to communicate with our community. Last but not least is the video at hand, so why don't we go ahead and take a closer look at that now. Alright folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Nano. Now before we do, as per usual, if you're new to the channel, just so you understand, I always like to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, just to see kind of what the overall sentiment is in the market, so we can get kind of a baseline of what's going on. Because as we likely know, Bitcoin decided to have another sell-off yesterday, so we'll go ahead and see how that has impacted Nano here today. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum, I prefer to use the 4-hour chart. So this is the 4-hour chart on Binance application. It is TradingView within Binance desktop app. Okay, just so you're aware. And taking a look here as well for Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart, I have a 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages. These are purple, yellow, and magenta colored lines. They kind of just tell us overall what the moving averages are. Now to touch on that first, we have all three moving averages kind of really close together. They're about 56,000 approximately. And we have a major resistance line right up here around 59,500. A new resistance line here, which is basically an old resistance, but it's kind of reaffirmed itself as a resistance at 57,000. And of course, the previous support level right around 53,300 is now broken. So that's a potential resistance level now. Hopefully, if all goes well, it'll be a similar scenario to before, where we had that second major sell-off last month, state of consolidation, and a ramp back up above the resistance. So hoping for that here, but in case you're not aware, the Tesla essentially, Elon Musk basically tweeted the fact that Tesla is no longer providing support for Bitcoin. So they no longer allow Bitcoin purchases on their vehicles, on their EV. So that's a bad thing, of course, in the sense of the fact that it drove the price down, but I don't feel like it's going to drive us into a bearish market yet. Still very bullish. We need not worry too much. It might be shifting things a little bit overall in the sentiment of Bitcoin, of course, just based on how that's going to affect things, but we'll see in the future, of course, what's going on there. But I don't think this is a major cause for concern because, things are starting to level out here, and hopefully we'll see some increase from Bitcoin in the next few days, and of course see the same thing apply to other currencies, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum next. And Ethereum was impacted. It's definitely not Bitcoin proof, right? But just note that when Bitcoin does sell off, people too tend to transition over to Ethereum, and the price recovers usually a lot quicker. You can see that here with the first push up, but it did get pushed down again just earlier today, or late last night, if you will. So we'll see what happens there. We'll stay tuned, but the 50-day moving average is tentatively working as a support level, and we'll continue to keep a close eye on that in the upcoming days. But nothing terrible, not in bad shape. 38.71 is the current price for Ethereum. Now let's go and take a look at Nano. Now before we get started, if you're new to the channel, I always look at the 4-hour, the 1-day chart, 4-hour chart, then the 15 and possibly the 1 minute, just kind of get a closer look at finding a good entry point for you. But before we even get there, I like to look at the 1-day chart to see a bird's eye view and see what's going on, and then cover it a little closer. All right. So this is the 1-day chart, and I did previously cover Nano after it sharply jumped up previously. What was that, on the 16th? And of course we've had a major sell-off because the price went up too fast, too quick. It ramped up, and again selling off again. For the most part though, it was following Bitcoin in these days here, this channel, but today and yesterday completely contradictory to the price action on Bitcoin, which is fantastic because we do like to see coins that are a little bit more independent from Bitcoin. Now, they're all codependent on Bitcoin, don't get me wrong. There's likely some type of fundamental catalyst that causes us to go up, but suffice to say, this is a very good sign no matter how you look at it. because it's nice to be able to have some type of price action when everything's getting beaten down, right? So that's what's going on here with the one-day chart. First of all, just to note, 50-day moving average is currently still a support level. It has been for a few weeks, even I would say over a month now. So that's a good sign. 200 and 100-day moving averages haven't caught up yet, but obviously still support levels as well previously. As you can tell, the volume increase is significant here today so far. We're at about 36 million volume, but the largest increase was right in the range of about, 81 million, it looks like. So we're about half that volume, but the day has just begun, right? At least here, where I'm at, we're only 7 hours into the trading day. So this is a pretty good sign. I like to see that high volume. What I'm expecting will happen is it'll create an average true range somewhere close to where it's at right now. Obviously, we'll see what happens soon with the lower charts, but generally speaking, the price needs to be higher, and you'll see what I mean by that here soon. Down below, looking at the RSI, it's still under 70, but it is trying to peak above. It may do that tomorrow, depending on the price action. And just note that traditionally, with the RSI being overextended, considered overbought, anything over 70 has a tendency of selling off and retracing. Now, if you look back here, just quickly note, first major price increase on January 6th, price retraced back down, consolidated. Second major price increase above 70 RSI, calmed down, it ramped up again, and then of course retraced and consolidated. So you can kind of see this pattern of up and down behavior. Good news is it's making higher highs, and we're looking to be in pretty good shape there. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's the one-day chart for Nano. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart now. And this is what I like to pay attention to on the 4-hour chart, is to see how hard the 4-hour bars are closing, or how hard they're ramping up, of course, because we need to have, in order to have a really strong, good bull run, you need to have short periods of consolidation in between. It can't just ramp up 24 hours a day, right? It's going to fall back down very hard. Now, this has retraced itself to an extent. We can tell probably likely on the 15-minute chart what happened there, but you can see the price is coming down and kind of figuring itself out because it went too high in the last 4-hour bar. Nonetheless, just something to pay attention to. The RSI down below, of course, as well. Big surprise, RSI up over 70, price comes down. You'll see that as a common trend. So just bear that in mind. Also, the MACD is overextended, so the overall sentiment here should be bullish in the next few hours. But we'll see, obviously, on the 15-minute chart what that looks like. But generally speaking, the one-day chart and the 4-hour chart are showing that it's significant bullish momentum. However, right now, if you look at the MACD, it is telling us on the 4-hour chart that there's likely going to be a shift in momentum, which is obviously what we're seeing right now because the price had to come back down. But this isn't terrible. It could be a good thing because, in other words, a lot of times, history will repeat itself in cryptocurrency. In other words, you look back here, it ramped up and then sold off, right? But you got to keep in mind the 17th, right here, this 4-hour period or 24-hour period with those 4-hour bars, that is when Bitcoin had its first major sell-off last month. Okay, so it's no wonder why the price came back down. Looking at it now, obviously Bitcoin had a sell-off, but Nano ramped up almost exactly the same time as Bitcoin was selling off. So that kind of just tells me that there is a bullish sentiment here, and there's likelihood of it continuing up because of how well it performed, contradictory to what happened with Bitcoin yesterday. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We'll look at the 15-minute chart and see kind of what's going on. And let's see here. So first of all, yesterday, yeah, it was right around here. This is when Bitcoin did its first major sell-off yesterday. As you can see, price ramped up from 830 to 1385-ish, and then came right back down to 838, and right back up to 13.9. I'll just say 14 is a rough estimate. So that tells me that Nano is destined to increase, or it really just it had a one-track mind to try to get to a much higher price section, right? So regardless of what happened with Bitcoin yesterday, it ramped right back up. Yes, it consolidated a little bit, but it came right up again. This tells me we are likely in a bull run, and there's a strong chance that we should see the price continue upwards once it consolidates a little further. And again, that's just my thoughts. I'm not a financial advisor, of course, but in my experience with crypto, you do see this happen. If the price is, obviously it's impacted by Bitcoin, but it is also shooting up and going up much faster and much quicker than anything else is recovering right now. So that's a really good sign. It means that the price was too low for too long and the bulls are here to play. All right. Other than that, RSI is in good shape right now, so it's just kind of in that short period of consolidation. So we'll hope that that doesn't last very long. And let's go ahead and see if we can try to find a good entry point for you. Now what we'll do is we'll turn on the volume weighted average price, disable the moving averages, and turn on the EMA line. Now the EMA, I like to use the EMA 15. Most defaults are 9 and 20. I just split the difference so I have one indicator instead of two. It makes more sense for me. It works well for me. And I usually like to use the EMA 15 on the 1 minute chart to find the best entry point. But I turn it on the 15-minute chart to get just some perspective on momentum, because it really helps you understand the momentum of bull versus bears as far as how they're controlling those short intervals. But before we look at the EMA, why don't we look at just the volume weighted average price? And if you're new to the channel, volume weighted average price is by far my favorite indicator because it's worked very, very well for me in my day. Now, it only really helps on the 15-minute chart or less. You can't use it on the 4 hour or the 1 day, possibly the 1 hour, but not that reliable. It's better on shorter time frames. And what it just takes the average volume in the last 24 hours and provides you with a price. This is what the price should be based on the last 24 hours of volume. So looking at the price right now, obviously the price is at 1335, somewhere in that range. And the volume weighted average price tells us the price should be right around 1306. So with these two things being close together, that's a good sign. In other words, we want to see how the price action reacts to the volume weighted average price. So the price comes down and bounces off the VWAP like it did before and gives us further confirmation, then that would be a case in point where you'd want to consider taking entry. Now, if you're short-term swing trading, just say anywhere in the range of holding for 1 day to under 30 days, somewhere in that range, 1 to 30 days, then what you'd want to do to try to take entry, at least this is what I do, is I wait for 2 solid green bars before I take entry. In other words, we want to have confirmation above support. In this case, the support is the VWAP line. And of course, we want to wait for the price action to bounce off of that and essentially hold for 30 minutes. So let me give you an example here really quick. Before we do that, actually, let's go ahead and take a look at support and resistance levels. So I want to mark this here because this would be important to note, because that was a previous resistance and it could work as a support level soon because it was tested twice as a recent high. Let me see here. Hold on, let me go a little further back. I'll also mark that too. So it's important to, when you're putting support and resistance levels down, always look for the recent all-time high or the recent high. Obviously you want to go all the way back. I forget to, so this is as far as it goes, at least on Binance. But I like to go as far back as I can, but looking at the more recent highs and marking those. So unfortunately, I'm marking that here. Let me actually get where that's at. Put on the 15. So 1430. So we'll mark 1430 on the 15-minute chart. 1430. Right in that range there. All right. The reason why I marked that is because that was the previous high, previous all-time high. And then we have the most recent high. So what that is that creates us with 2 essential, in this case, resistance levels, but they may work as support. So right now, with the price being where it's at, awesome, it's bouncing off VWAP right now and it's holding above the volume weighted average price. That's a good sign. But that's not the confirmation I like to have. I prefer to understand confirmation above the resistance levels. However, say for example, this green bar closes. Just say that this closes a green bar, and then the next one closes too, and we get some kind of, just say upward momentum. So say right here we get another green bar that closes, right? When we see that, that tells me that there's confirmation the price is heading back up, right? You saw the same thing right here. These 2 green bars, that's solid confirmation that the price bounced off VWAP, okay? So in that case, you see these two solid green bars, it closes, then I would consider taking entry, probably somewhere in this range here. Hold on, it'd be like right in here. Okay, now you want to be careful though, because taking entry at this point, there's still some major support and resistance levels, right? So as you can tell, this previous all-time high, right at about 1430, was tested once, twice, 3 times and rejected. So that tells us it's a stronger resistance level. However, when strong resistance lines get broken, they become even stronger supports. So if you were to consider taking entry here, what you do is you take a small position, 20 to 30%, and then wait for the price to come up above both both resistance levels. And if it breaks above and stays above for just say another 15 to 30 minutes, another 2 solid green bars, then you'd consider adding to your position further until the price action continues upwards. Now again, it's hard to be patient in these scenarios, I understand that, but try your best. I'm a patient trader, I'm a risk-averse trader, so that's why I say to add small positions and to wait for confirmation. Small position, confirmation. You kind of go in the small steps essentially closer to your goal. But if your goal is to get somewhere up here, don't just go all in right here and just wait for it to come back up, and if the price comes down below, you hold. Never do that. Obviously, it's a different scenario if you're planning to hold on for longer than 30 days. But if you're a short-term swing trader, you got to pay attention to these things, which is why I like to use the 15-minute chart for my short-term swing trading, because the 2 solid 15-minute green bars is a confirmation that I use, and I like to add to my position as I get closer to my goal. And when I say goal, my goal in most cases for a short-term swing trade, again 1 to 30 days, is somewhere in the range of 5 to 10%. Okay. Now let's just see. Let's say, for example, took entry right at this line here. 5 to 10% would be right in this range. Okay. That may not seem like a lot of gains, but again, I'm only trying to grow my wallet, my total portfolio, by 1% every day. Now that's exponential growth if you understand that. If you grow your wallet by 1% every single day, starting with $5,000, you'll end up with $187,000 in 365 days. Okay, so it's important to note that, and that is important to understand because people kind of in crypto they talk about these massive gains, 10x, 100x, 1000x. That's all well and good. If you can get that and get lucky, that's fine, but it's not going to happen all the time. Why not take the gains that you can get and be smart about your entry point and essentially find benefit each and every day, right? Why not be careful and be a profitable trader instead of just potentially risking everything you have and losing majority of it in a matter of minutes? It can happen. We saw that yesterday with Bitcoin. So I want you to exercise caution, but just be mindful of the fact that you can still have a lot of good gains, a lot of positive, trades, if you will, if you're just a little more careful. Yeah, so that's kind of how I like to do things. If you have your own tactics, feel free to comment below, let us know so we can all kind of grow together. Also, feel free to join the Telegram community too. I mean, there's a fantastic group of folks there. We all kind of collaborate and talk openly about things like this, and feel free to support me on Patreon if you'd like. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and take a look at the 1-minute chart just to quickly identify, because I want to quickly see what the EMA line tells us on the 1-minute chart, kind of see what the price action is looking like. So we'll go to 1 minute. As you can see, the price previously bounced off of VWAP here, shot back up. Now what I look for entry points here, and again, the 1 minute chart for me is more so a day trade, something that's, you're in and out the same day, right? Within under 24 hours, preferably only a couple of hours. But generally speaking, what I look for is 3 solid green bars on the 1 minute chart. I also use the EMA line too. Now, here's how the EMA line works. First of all, as you can see, you can kind of actually already see how it works, right? If you look back here, when we're in this bearish trend, right, this little downswing, you'll see that the price could not increase above the EMA line. It tested here, tested here. So in other words, never chase the bottom. And the reason why the EMA line is helpful is because it helps you not chase that. In other words, if you turn off this EMA line, for example, and you're trying to get in here, okay, darn it, price went down. Okay, maybe I'll get in right here, price goes down. If you keep doing that, you're going to have trouble, right? And again, remember I said 3 solid green bars? Say, for example, you took 3 solid green bars right here, you took entry after you saw these 3. The price comes right back down again because it still hasn't found its bottom. Plus, it hasn't bounced off the VWAP yet either. So if we do this, we enable the EMA, and you look, are these 3 lines here above the EMA or below? They're below. That doesn't work. You need to pick 3 solid green bars above the EMA line in order to find the best entry point. So let's go with this further that example here. See these 3 here? These 3 lines here? Well, actually, let's go with this here, for example. So those 3 lines, that's 3 solid green bars, right? And yes, it bounced off VWAP. That could be a potential good entry. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it's not above the EMA line. So in my opinion, that's not the best entry possible. So what we'd do is we'd wait to find 3 solid green bars above the EMA line. Not quite here, nope. But this is 3 solid green bars above the EMA line. And what do you know? Price shot back up and continued because it came up and it tested the EMA line and continued upwards. So what you're looking for, and again, that's the kind of trader that I am. I like to find these nice, sweet little spots in the middle, not the very bottom, not the very top. Because you'll never sell at the top. You'll never buy at the bottom. Like, there's no exact science there. However, if you use the VWAP, for example, so I mean, technically this would have been a good example here because the price bounced off of VWAP, and that is a support level, as well as the fact that we got 3 solid green bars. Yes, it was under EMA, but it did break above and continue. But if you think about the EMA as a support and resistance level, then you never want to take entry unless you have confirmation, right? So if the price comes above here and you get that confirmation, then that's what you're looking for. So me, preferably, if the price is above VWAP and it bounces, and then it bounces above the EMA line, and it stays and holds for just say 3 minutes, and then of course it consolidates and bounces off again, then this is like a perfect spot right there. Okay, so just kind of pay attention to that. Like, see, for example, here, price is coming back down, it's under EMA, not a good time to take entry. This would not be a good time to take entry. However, the price essentially bouncing off VWAP here, we could have a good entry point soon if the price comes back down, bounces, and then stays above the EMA for at least 3 minutes. Okay, so again, just try to be cautious, try to be careful. These are the things that I do. You don't have to do them. But I can tell you my success rate is significantly higher by just honoring these small little pieces of information, or just, it's essentially just, it's something that I hold true to every time I trade. If I don't steer away from this, and I'm not an emotional trader, and I just strictly look at the charts and the technicals, then I am successfully, more successful, right? Successfully more successful. That makes sense, right? So I just want you to recommend. I want to recommend you exercise caution, okay? And please be careful, please be cautious. Don't just jump in. I mean, you see some people like getting lucky, and you might get lucky from time to time, but I promise you, this isn't gambling. If you want to gamble with your money, then I guess go ahead, right? Just throw your money into some altcoin that you never heard of and hope for the best because somebody else told you to do it. I prefer to look at the charts and look at the technical data and make sure that I make an informed decision. My success rate is significantly increased, and I think that it's just the best way to go. Okay, so hopefully you found benefit from this. If you do, please like and subscribe. Really appreciate you watching, as well as the fact that I'll go ahead and continue to keep a closer eye on Nano moving forward. Just bear in mind too, I'm also creating some training videos on the side to help you, understand all the specific things I just discussed, to make sure that we have a good collective understanding of being a good trader. So I've been in the industry for a very long time, and I've made a lot of mistakes. I don't want to see you make those mistakes. Okay, let's not get wrecked. Let's get better. Let's grow our wallets and have a good time. So again, join the Telegram community if you haven't already. Feel free to support me on Patreon, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.